Greetings to each and everyone. Welcome to another episode, another chapter of the Reggae Planet Radio Showcase. Today we're continuing the series known as the Politics of Capitalism. But this time we're going to take a look at the African worldview. Yes indeed, we have to take a look at the African worldview within the politics of capitalism or the politics of economics. Yes indeed. Because, as you know, we're living in a world surrounded by various philosophies and various cultures. And politics and business seem to be leading the way, as well as science and religion. But it all comes down to culture too. Culture plays an important role. The culture, the lifestyle, or the view, or the worldview of a people. As you know, Africa was invaded by colonizers, slave drivers, and so on and so forth. And that was a big part of the capitalism, as we say, the ugly face of the capitalism, whereby the Africans were taken to different countries in the Caribbean and in the Americas, where they were enslaved, working on the plantations, planting sugarcane, making rum, and making sugar. Yes, indeed. And these commodities help greatly to make the colonizing countries rich and richer and richer. And also the fact that they got away with over 400 years of non-payment for work. Yes, indeed, because any man who runs a business knows that one of the biggest challenges is how to maintain the business in terms of making sure you can constantly pay the workers. So if you can get even 4 months without paying the workers, what? You could make a lot of money. Or if you could get 4 years, imagine that. So imagine how much they got out of the workers by having 400 years of slavery where they did not have to pay for the work. All they did was enslave the people. You know what I mean? That slavery is known as the transatlantic slavery. That means the slavery that took place when they were, going across to the Americas, going across the Atlantic Ocean and starting to colonize those countries and so on and so forth, right? But the whole ideology of slavery has been going on for thousands of years among all types of people, mainly, usually, as a result of war and invasion and occupation of lands, and therefore they came up with the thing where they give you occupation during the occupation. Yeah, because they would come in and occupy your land and give you an occupation to do. So they would make it look like they're doing something nice for you, because they come in with invasion with intent to kill, rape, kidnap and steal. So therefore, who they did not kill now, they would say, you know what? Spare the lives of the captives, as long as the captives would work for them. So in this way, the captive could spare their lives by agreeing to the forced labor, which is slavery. And that is what's been going on in many places throughout the history of the world. Work for your bread, right? By the sweat of your brow you shall make your bread. So they didn't want to give any real comfort or any nice life or any luxury or whatever. So they came up with a type of system that would make the captives feel that they're subjugated to this forced labor, otherwise known as slavery. And as I explained, it's usually what they do in the situation of prisoners of war. It's long time business going on. They capture people, steal people lands, steal the resources, steal the treasures and so on and so forth. And in many cases, put the people who survived the actual invasion or the brutal war and so on and so forth, they put those people now to forced labor to help them to build their economy and their system. So in that regard, capitalism is not necessarily what you would say the favorite African worldview. Capitalism in some ways is a good system, but in some ways it's a bad system too. And that's why we talk about the pretty face and the ugly face of capitalism. But according to social research and social studies over the years, there's hardly been any system that actually proven better. Many other systems were just as cruel or brutal or even worse. So the task remains for mankind to find some type of system in terms of the economical organization that would actually work better. You know what I'm saying? And we can see that various countries are conflicted with these issues, right? Because each country is trying to find a way to make things better for their people, for their culture, for their worldview. But it's hard because, maybe you don't really want to do the brutal form of capitalism, but at the same time, there's not many more, let's say, new ideas that has been developed as different ways of how we could go about doing this. Some people have attempted some new ideas. There's such a thing as democratic socialism. A lot of countries are practicing that in Europe, and also some countries in Africa, and a lot of countries even in America, they practice a form of democratic socialism, as much as they might not want to say socialism as much. But most capitalistic countries, as we know it now, work with both systems. But in Africa, it's a more tradition of kings, and chiefs. There is a saying by His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, known as democratic monarchy, which is something similar to what they practice even in Britain. Britain, they might make you feel like it's just an open democracy and all you hear about is the Prime Minister every day. But really they have a queen and they have a royal family, and they have found a way to keep the royal family thing going even to this day. But most countries now have shunned the idea of a royal family. In Africa, they still have royal families. So there is a system that is there in Africa, a kind of cultural vibration, which could be called benevolent monarchy. But there's also wicked monarchy too. And what happened over the years, both in Europe and Africa and worldwide, there was a lot of wicked monarchy, a lot of wicked kings. So the idea of the wicked kings and the wicked queens led to a lot of protests and a lot of uprising to really overthrow the wicked kings and the wicked queens. You know what I'm saying? But out of that development now came this society known as democracy, where sometimes they vote every 2 years, sometimes they vote every 4 years. They just keep changing the leader, and in many cases, as we have spoken about in this series, they have not really give the government that much power. The government have some power, but it's the businessmen have more power, the bankers have the most power, and so on and so forth. So in the original cultural vibration of Africa, it has something to do with king and queen and a sort of royalty with the chiefs and the elders and all of that. Like a family where you have a big father and a big mother and, and people listening to the wise counsel of the elders and of the honor thy mother and thy father. That type of culture is a great ancient culture of the chief and all of that, So it is still very strong in Africa. They still have a lot of cultural leaders. They don't just have prime ministers and presidents. They still have chiefs and they still have kings. Yeah, but the point now is, can these kings and chiefs and can these queens develop a lifestyle or a culture that works in today's modern world and is benevolent or is good for the people? Yeah, because what happened in Europe, where the kings were so wicked and cruel and brutal to the point where the people were starving and the people overthrew them, and then replace it now with this democracy system, which has something to do with a mistrust. They don't really trust the leadership of kings anymore, or they don't want any one man to get so powerful. So they've come up with this idea where you vote for the leader, change him every 2 years or every 4 years. But it does not always work, because still wicked people could come up in that system. Or what could happen is that the government person, whether prime minister or president, is just a symbolic person to make the people feel nice that they voted for someone. But behind the scenes, some other things is going on. So within the African worldview now, there's been a lot of struggles to try and fit into this regular capitalism, democracy society, because it's not the natural way of the African worldview. The African worldview is more surrounded with the king and the queen. Yeah, and the chief and, the elders and all of that. See? Yes, and the ancestors. Yeah, the African worldview is more surrounding that kind of family structure. More like a monarchy, really. But as I said, the monarchy system got a bad name through the wicked kings and the wicked queens who were oppressing people all around the world. But nowadays, we have to find a way in this modern world to make a better way or to make it work better for each and every one. So it's not so easy, but we have to find a way. You know what I mean? So people, feel free to comment and let me know your thoughts about this African worldview and how we can develop our own worldview within economics and prosperity and all this stuff, right? Like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to the Reggae Planet Radio Showcase with the voice of the Reggae Planet Ambassador Worldwide, yours truly, Rasta Ruben Kwabena. Today we've been talking about the African worldview in terms of culture, in terms of politics, in terms of economics. We need our own worldview and we should be creative and come up with some new ideas. As them say, think outside the box. So like, comment, share and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this topic, the African political and economical worldview.